Mr. President, I do not intend to take up much of the Assembly's time. Have been put before by me, and I think are well within your knowledge. I now wish to appeal to you not to push this matter further by adopting this resolution. Because, Mr. President, this is not just another resolution, not just another resolution dealing with a colonial issue, as some would suggest. Indeed, it is one which involves the implication in the resolution of a transfer of territory. But the adoption of this resolution will not bring about this transfer. This I know, and this I think is known to all of us. The adoption of this resolution will merely put in train, so it seems to me, an agitation which cannot and will not achieve its primary purpose, but will most assuredly bring with it unfortunate consequences, not only for the principal parties, the Netherlands and Indonesia, but for my country, Australia, as well. You can
oppose the 8-power resolution for substantially the same reasons as we gave in the first committee for opposing the resolution sponsored by Indonesia. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, the resolution on the question of West Irian passed by the first committee is before the General Assembly for its consideration. Distinguished delegates of those countries having the experience of colonial rule, the question of West Irian is simply the elimination of last vestiges of colonialism in Asia, so that all old animosities and bitterness between East and West would be removed from that part of the world. As my delegation observed in the first committee, the purpose and justification of our intervention in that debate was to expand this area of genuine cooperation between Westerners and Asians, and that holds good so far as this debate is concerned also. Mr. President, our support of the Indonesian claim to West Irian is not based only on our opposition to the continuation of colonialism in Asia, on howsoever small scale it may be, but also on the close historical, geographical, and political association between Indonesia and West Irian. Sir, it is an irony of history that the colonial powers who start and continue their rule with the help of the policy of divide and rule ultimately end by uniting those whom they want to divide and thereby create conditions for their own liquidation.
Mr. President, this item, the question of West Irian or West New Guinea, has been discussed fully in the first committee, and a very mild compromise resolution giving the greatest consideration to the points of view of the parties to the dispute. That is therefore to be deeply regretted that the Dutch delegate and some others in this plenary session not only oppose this goodwill or compromise resolution, the resolution makes no decision whatsoever with regard to the substance of the dispute, but what is more, are again tempting to distort the item on the discussion, seeking once more to oppose the competence of the Assembly to find a peaceful solution to a serious dispute between two member nations, and to divert the questions to one apparently designed to perpetuate the illegitimate Dutch colonial rule over part of Indonesia. I do not want to reopen a general debate on this question, Mr. President, although the distinguished delegate of the Netherlands have tried again to bring matters before this Assembly, which my delegation has already disposed of in the first committee. But Dr. Baliundi, the distinguished In fact, what this resolution of the first committee means, not more than that. Is it conceivable that such a peaceful resolution, such an expression of hope, only an expression of hope, Mr. President, would meet with any opposition? Let us be reasonable. Let us have the courage to express hope that a dispute, however difficult it may seem, should and can be settled by peaceful means. Allegations of many kinds and even insinuations against my country have been used to confuse the issue. But the issue now before us is clear. Is the General Assembly to be allowed to express its hope for a peaceful solution of the problem? Is the General Assembly to be allowed to encourage the peaceful solution of the problem of this dispute? If one is willing to see the issue in all fairness, in all objectivity, I cannot imagine, Mr. President, that one would prevent such an encouragement, such a peaceful appeal. As to the...
Infortunadamente, nada se hizo en ese sentido. Y el texto que se encuentra sometido ahora a la Asamblea General no solamente no contiene disposición alguna relativa al interés de la población de Nueva Guinea, sino que contiene disposiciones que implican coerción con relación a una de las partes. En tales condiciones, la delegación de la República Dominicana se ha visto obligada a reconsiderar su posición y a volver a su tendencia originalmente expresada, como ahora lo hace. Por tales motivos, declaramos que nuestra delegación votará en contra del proyecto de resolución de que ahora se encuentra apoderada nuestra plenaria. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
I turn now, Mr. President, to the merits of the problem. The Indonesian government claims that this question of West Irian is essentially a colonial question, since it is part and parcel of the struggle of the people of what used to be the Netherlands East Indies for freedom from colonial domination. The Netherlands delegation, supported by the Australian, maintains that this is not a colonial issue at all, that it is instead merely a matter of one state trying to annex the territory of another without even taking into consideration the wishes and feelings of the people concerned. In all fairness to Indonesia, Mr. President, we have to say that we consider the latter to be an unfair description of the Indonesian claim and case. And I think that a brief look at the historical record will bear me out. It seems to be admitted by all those concerned that there existed some kind of political link between what is now Indonesia and West Irian even before the Dutch appeared on the scene. In fact, the Netherlands government seems to have relied, at least in part, on the existence of this link to justify their annexation of West New Guinea. Having annexed it, the Netherlands government, in effect, confirmed the existence of this link by placing West New Guinea under the administrative control of Batavia. This, Mr. President, was no temporary expedient. It lasted right up to the time that Indonesia obtained her independence. It was then, and only then, that it suddenly seems to have dawned on the Dutch that West New Guinea was not, after all, a part of Indonesia. Now, Mr. President,
Señor presidente, no era la intención de mi delegación intervenir en este debate, que se está desarrollando sobre la cuestión de Irian Occidental o Nueva Guinea Occidental en la Asamblea en pleno. Sin embargo, el hecho de que hayamos observado un cambio bastante extraño en muchas delegaciones que habían votado en cierta forma o se habían abstenido en la comisión cuando se puso a votación el proyecto de que ahora conoce la Asamblea, nos obliga a intervenir en una forma breve en el debate en pleno, porque quisiéramos ratificar la posición que adoptamos reiteradamente en la primera comisión y porque no querríamos que nuestro silencio en este debate de hoy